Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we have a real treat for you, as we explore a coin that might just be hiding in your collection or even your pocket change, waiting to make you a small fortune. We're talking about the 1964 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, despite its modest face value, has earned a reputation as a sought-after collectible. But here's the twist. This 5-cent nickel could be worth far more than just 5 cents if you know where to look. First, let's take a moment to talk about the history of the 1964 Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel, which has been a staple of American currency since 1938, features two iconic images: the portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side and the Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, on the reverse. This design, created by artist Felix Schlag, has remained largely unchanged over the years, making it instantly recognizable and a symbol of American heritage. The 1964 Jefferson nickel marks a special year in the series because it was produced right in the middle of a decade full of changes in American currency. It was a time when the U.S. was transitioning from the heavy use of silver in coinage to copper-nickel alloys, which would soon dominate U.S. coins. 1964 is the final year that nickels were still produced with the traditional silver composition, making the 1964 Jefferson nickel an important piece for collectors. But while it may have been just another nickel to most people at the time, today, it could be worth far more than its face value, especially if you happen to have one in excellent condition or with unique features. Now, let's talk about what makes this particular coin so valuable. Like many other coins, the 1964 Jefferson nickel can be worth much more than its 5-cent face value based on a few key factors: rarity, condition, and minting errors. These are the hallmarks of any valuable coin, and in the case of the 1964 nickel, they all play a huge role in determining its worth. First, let's discuss rarity. While the 1964 Jefferson nickel was produced in large quantities, not all of them have survived in excellent condition. Most coins from that era were circulated, which means they've been exposed to wear and tear over the years. However, those that have been carefully preserved and kept in pristine condition are rare and much more valuable. This is where mint state coins come into play. A 1964 Jefferson nickel that has been well kept and is in uncirculated condition is something collectors are always on the lookout for. Speaking of condition, let's dive deeper into what makes a coin in mint state stand out. When you think of a coin in mint state, think of a coin that looks as if it just came off the minting press: sharp details, no signs of wear, and no discoloration. These coins are practically flawless. Coins like this are graded by professional coin graders, such as PCGS or NGC, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 1964 Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, meaning it has never been used in circulation and remains as pristine as the day it was made, could easily see its value skyrocket. Another thing to keep in mind is that some coins are valuable because of minting errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. These errors can range from minor imperfections to major flaws that make the coin unique and rare. For the 1964 Jefferson nickel, there are several types of minting errors that could make a coin particularly valuable. For instance, a double die error could cause certain features of the coin to appear doubled or blurred. Other types of errors could include off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets. These errors are often overlooked by the untrained eye, but for collectors, they can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a treasure. Let's say you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel with an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off. Coins with this type of error are often more sought after because they are one-of-a-kind pieces, making them stand out in a collection. Or maybe you found a double die error, where the engraving appears more than once, creating a noticeable doubling of text or design elements on the coin. These types of errors can significantly increase the value of your 1964 nickel. Now, you might be wondering, just how much could a 1964 Jefferson nickel be worth? Well, the answer depends on the rarity, condition, and any minting errors your coin might have. Most of these nickels in circulated condition are worth only a few cents more than their face value. However, if you happen to find a 1964 Jefferson nickel in pristine uncirculated condition or one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. In fact, the value of a 1964 Jefferson nickel in top-tier condition or with a minting error can reach incredible amounts. Some of these coins have been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auctions or private sales. You might be looking at a price tag of $63,000 for a rare 1964 Jefferson nickel in mint condition or with a significant minting error. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1964 Jefferson nickel could be worth $63,000 if it's in the right condition or if it has a rare minting mistake. That's a lot of value packed into a 5-cent coin. So, if you happen to come across one of these coins, make sure to carefully inspect it for any errors, and if you think it might be something special, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grader to determine its true value. As we wrap up, it's clear that the 1964 Jefferson nickel is far from ordinary. Whether it's a rare minting error or simply a coin in exceptional condition, this nickel can be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. So, next time you're going through your change or digging through your coin jar, remember that a seemingly simple 5-cent coin could be hiding some serious value. Keep an eye out, because the next great find could be in your pocket. Today, we have a fascinating piece of American currency to talk about, and trust me, you won't want to miss this one. We're diving into the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that could be hiding a secret worth far more than its face value. If you think all nickels are the same, think again. This one could be your ticket to a serious windfall. Let's first take a moment to appreciate the historical significance of the 1979 Jefferson nickel. As part of the Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938, this coin features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. On the reverse side, you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's beloved home in Virginia, standing proudly as a symbol of the country's heritage. The 1979 nickel is particularly notable because it falls into a time of transition for U.S. coins. It's the late 1970s, and the world of coin collecting was evolving with new innovations, designs, and potential for rare finds. Now, let's talk about why the 1979 Jefferson nickel might just be the hidden gem you didn't know you were sitting on. You see, while most people view the nickel as a humble coin, there's a lot more going on under the surface when it comes to numismatics, the study and collection of coins. If you've been collecting or simply collecting your spare change over the years, you might have a 1979 Jefferson nickel that could be worth far more than 5 cents. One of the key factors that drive the value of a coin like the 1979 nickel is condition. Like any collectible item, the state of preservation plays a significant role in determining how much a coin is worth. Coins that have been in circulation, exposed to the elements, and handled over time will inevitably show signs of wear and tear. But what if you were lucky enough to have a 1979 nickel that has been kept in excellent condition, untouched by the harsh realities of circulation? You might have an uncirculated coin, which is a rarity in itself and certainly a coveted find among collectors. Coins that are considered uncirculated are essentially in the same condition as when they were first minted. They have no visible signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. These coins often come from collections, coin rolls, or even original mint bags. They're highly desirable to collectors because they represent a pristine piece of history. And when it comes to the 1979 Jefferson nickel, finding one in mint condition is not only rare, it can also significantly increase its value. But, wait. There's more to the 1979 Jefferson nickel than just its condition. One of the most exciting reasons this coin is sought after is due to the potential for minting errors. Over the years, the U.S. Mint has occasionally produced coins with mistakes that make them much more valuable to collectors. The 1979 nickel is no exception. Minting errors can come in many forms. A double die error, where the image is stamped twice, creating a blurry or doubled effect, is one of the most prized and valuable mistakes. But other errors, like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks, can also make a 1979 Jefferson nickel incredibly valuable. These errors create coins that are one of a kind and stand out in any collection. Imagine you find a 1979 nickel in your collection that has a double die error. where the words, liberty, or, in God we trust, are doubled. A minting mistake like that can make your coin worth a lot more than just 5 cents. It can go from being a common nickel to a rare and highly sought-after collectible that collectors will fight over at auctions, and it's not just about the errors. Sometimes, the market for coins like the 1979 Jefferson nickel can fluctuate based on demand. If a specific coin series gains popularity or if a certain coin is discovered in exceptional condition, it can cause a surge in value. The 1979 Jefferson nickel could be a sleeper coin, something that, a few decades from now, could be considered a true collector's item. As coin enthusiasts continue to seek out rare and historical pieces, the demand for well-preserved or error-filled coins increases, driving up the prices. Now, the big question: just how much could a 1979 Jefferson nickel be worth? A regular 1979 nickel in average condition won't get you much. After all, it's a 5-cent coin. However, when we're talking about a highly valuable 1979 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition or one with minting errors, the value can rise significantly. So, how much are we talking about here? If you're lucky enough to own a 1979 nickel with an incredible minting error or in perfect condition, it could be worth as much as $60,000. Yes, you heard that right. $60,000 for a single 5-cent coin. A 1979 Jefferson nickel with the right combination of rarity, condition, and minting errors can fetch an incredible price on the open market. So, before you dismiss that nickel in your collection as just another coin, take a moment to inspect it carefully. You may have a hidden treasure worth thousands of dollars sitting in your pocket, and there you have it. The 1979 Jefferson nickel may look like just another regular 5-cent coin, but for the right collector, it could be a gold mine. Whether you find one in uncirculated condition, spot a rare minting error, or just stumble upon a well-preserved piece of American history, don't overlook this coin. The potential value is much higher than you might have thought, and with a little luck, you could be sitting on a true treasure. Today, we've got a coin that might just be sitting in your collection, waiting to turn into a small fortune. That's right, we're talking about the 1973 Jefferson nickel, a coin that might look like your typical 5-cent piece, but it could actually be worth far more than its face value. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this unassuming nickel could make you a pretty penny. Before we jump into the details, let's take a quick step back and appreciate the Jefferson nickel as a whole. This coin, which first entered circulation in 1938, is one of the most iconic and enduring designs in American numismatics. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and on the reverse, you'll find an image of Monticello, Jefferson's home. This combination of historical significance and beautiful design has made the Jefferson nickel a mainstay in U.S. coinage for decades. Now, let's fast forward to 1973, the year that we're focusing on today. The 1973 Jefferson nickel was part of the continuing series of nickels minted throughout the 20th century. At the time, the United States was dealing with some economic challenges, including high inflation and the aftermath of the 1970s recession. But while the world of politics and economics was changing, the U.S. Mint was still cranking out coins like this one. At the time, people probably didn't think much about the 1973 nickel. After all, it was just another coin in circulation, probably spent countless times at gas stations, shops, and vending machines across the country. But here's the twist: over time, this 1973 Jefferson nickel has become a sleeper hit in the coin world, and the reason why might surprise you. So, what makes this nickel worth a second look? Well, there are a few key factors that determine whether this coin could be more than just a 5-cent piece. The first major factor is the condition of the coin. Now, you may be asking, how does the condition affect the value of a coin that's been circulating for decades? Great question. Coins that have been used regularly in circulation tend to show signs of wear and tear. Scratches, dents, discoloration, and fading are all common signs of a coin that has seen a lot of action. But coins that have been kept in mint condition, meaning they've never been used or have been carefully preserved, are much rarer and far more valuable. A 1973 Jefferson nickel in mint condition, one that hasn't been handled much, shows no signs of wear, and still has sharp, clear details, can command a much higher price than its face value. And, while it might not seem like a big deal, finding a coin in pristine condition is extremely rare, which makes it desirable to collectors, but condition alone isn't the only thing that can make your 1973 nickel more valuable. The second major factor is minting errors. If you've ever heard of error coins, you'll know that they can be worth a small fortune. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process, resulting in coins with imperfections that make them unique. There are several types of minting errors that could occur on a 1973 Jefferson nickel. For example, a double die error can cause the coin's design to appear doubled, meaning you'll see blurry or multiple versions of the image. This is one of the most coveted errors among collectors because it creates a striking, one-of-a-kind piece. There are also off-center errors, where the coin's design is stamped too far off-center, creating an interesting look. Or you could find a clipped planchet error, where the metal planchet, the blank piece of metal before the coin is struck, was clipped or misshaped during the minting process. These types of errors can create coins that are incredibly rare, and as we all know, rarity equals value in the world of coin collecting. Let's also consider the fact that many people simply don't pay attention to coins like the 1973 Jefferson nickel. Most people would overlook a nickel in their pocket, thinking it's just a standard coin. But for serious collectors, even small, seemingly insignificant coins can be worth a lot if they have the right combination of condition and minting errors. This is exactly why coins like the 1973 nickel can fly under the radar, and why they are so valuable when discovered. The real excitement comes when we look at the potential value of a 1973 Jefferson nickel. If you have one in pristine condition, or if you happen to own a nickel with a rare minting error, the value of your 1973 Jefferson nickel could be much higher than you think. While most 1973 Jefferson nickels in circulation aren't worth much more than 5 cents, those in excellent condition, or with a minting error, can fetch a significant price. If you happen to have a 1973 Jefferson nickel that has a rare error, or if it's in mint state, you could potentially sell it for a price that will leave you shocked. Some of these rare error coins have been known to sell for upwards of $64,000. That's right, a simple 5-cent coin could be worth $64,000 if it's in excellent condition or has a rare minting flaw. The key takeaway here is that not all coins are created equal, and if you have a 1973 Jefferson nickel in your collection, you might want to take a closer look. Coins that are well preserved or have unusual minting errors can be worth a lot more than their face value. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins in your collection or in your pocket change, it might just be time to cash in on that hidden treasure. Today, we're going to explore a coin that might be sitting in your collection or even your spare change jar right now, the 1987 Jefferson nickel. While it might seem like just another standard 5-cent piece, this particular nickel has the potential to be worth far more than its face value. In fact, it could be worth $57,000 if you know what to look for. Stick around as we uncover the reasons why the 1987 Jefferson nickel could be your ticket to a surprising windfall. Let's start with a little background on the Jefferson nickel, one of the most well-known coins in the United States. Introduced in 1938, this coin features the likeness of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse side. On the reverse, you'll find an image of Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, which was designed by renowned artist Felix Schlag. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it a recognizable and iconic part of U.S. coinage. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1987 version of this nickel stand out from the rest? After all, thousands of these coins were minted and circulated throughout the country in 1987. But the truth is, there are some specific features of the 1987 Jefferson nickel that make it far more valuable than the average 5-cent piece. First, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with any collectible item, the value of a coin is heavily influenced by its condition. Most of the 1987 Jefferson nickels you'll come across are in circulated condition, meaning they've been used for everyday transactions, and have seen their fair share of wear and tear. These coins are often covered in scratches, dents, and discoloration, which significantly lowers their value. However, if you happen to find a 1987 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition, that's when things start to get interesting. An uncirculated coin has been carefully preserved and hasn't been used for transactions. The details of the coin are sharp, the design is clear, and the overall appearance is pristine. These nickels are much rarer than the average coin that has been in circulation, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. In fact, uncirculated 1987 Jefferson nickels can sell for thousands of dollars depending on their condition, but there's more. Not all 1987 Jefferson nickels are created equal. There are also some rare minting errors that can make certain coins even more valuable. Minting errors are mistakes made during the production of coins, and these errors can result in some very unique and collectible pieces. Some of these errors are extremely rare, and finding a 1987 Jefferson nickel with one of these imperfections could mean a huge payoff for you. For instance, one of the most valuable errors that can occur on a 1987 Jefferson nickel is the double die error. This happens when the design of the coin is struck more than once, causing the image to appear blurry or doubled. Double die errors are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and visually striking. If you have a 1987 Jefferson nickel with this type of error, it could be worth a lot more than the typical nickel you might expect. Another potential error is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process. This can result in a coin that looks slightly askew, with the design off-center. These coins are rarer than those with perfect strikes, and they can be extremely valuable to the right collector. Additionally, a clipped planchet error could also add value to your 1987 Jefferson nickel. This occurs when the blank piece of metal used to create the coin is not properly cut during the minting process, resulting in a coin with a jagged or missing edge. Clipped planchets are often considered a defect, but to collectors, they are a desirable and rare feature. Now, you may be thinking, that's all great, but how much could these coins actually be worth? Well, the answer might surprise you. If you happen to have a 1987 Jefferson nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Some 1987 nickels have been known to sell for upwards of $57,000, depending on their rarity and condition. Yes, you heard that right, $57,000 for a single 5-cent coin. Of course, not every 1987 Jefferson nickel will fetch such a high price, but if you have a coin in excellent condition or with a unique error, you may want to get it appraised by a professional. The value of error coins, especially those from specific years like 1987, can be dramatically higher than their face value, so it's always worth investigating further if you think you have a special find. So, what should you do if you think you've got one of these valuable nickels in your collection? The first step is to carefully examine the coin for any signs of wear or minting errors. If it's an uncirculated coin, make sure to store it properly in a protective case to preserve its value. If you suspect your coin has a minting error, it's a good idea to have it professionally evaluated by a numismatist or sent to a grading service to determine its condition and rarity. As always, when it comes to coin collecting, knowledge is power. Understanding the different factors that contribute to a coin's value, like condition, minting errors, and rarity, can help you identify hidden treasures in your collection or even in your pocket change. To wrap things up, if you've got a 1987 Jefferson nickel in your possession, take a close look. It could very well be worth far more than its face value. Whether it's in mint condition or has a rare minting error, this unassuming coin has the potential to bring in $57,000. Don't let this one slip by without giving it a second glance. Today, we're diving into a coin that might just be lying around in your collection, or even your loose change jar right now. It's the 1989 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, at first glance, might seem ordinary, but in reality, it could be worth a lot more than its face value. Today, we're going to explore why the 1989 Jefferson nickel has garnered so much attention in the coin world and how it could be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. Before we get into the exciting stuff, let's take a moment to appreciate the history and design of the Jefferson nickel itself. This iconic coin has been part of the American landscape since its introduction in 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse. On the reverse side, we see Monticello, Jefferson's beautiful home in Virginia. These elements have remained relatively unchanged over the decades, creating a symbol of American history that endures to this day. Now, fast forward to 1989. By this time, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over 50 years, and millions of these 5-cent coins were minted each year. But it's not just any 1989 Jefferson nickel we're talking about here, it's the specific condition of the coin, the rarity, and possibly even some minting errors that could set your coin apart from the rest and significantly increase its value. So, what makes the 1989 Jefferson nickel so special, and what factors can turn an average nickel into a coin worth a small fortune? The most important thing to understand when it comes to rare coins is the concept of condition. While most of the 1989 Jefferson nickels out there have been circulated and are in typical, worn condition, the value can skyrocket if the coin is in mint condition. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition, untouched and uncirculated, are much rarer and therefore much more valuable. Over the years, coins naturally experience wear and tear due to regular handling, which is why coins in uncirculated condition are highly sought after by collectors. These coins have clean, crisp features, no scratches, and their details are as sharp as the day they were struck. Finding a 1989 Jefferson nickel that looks as fresh as the day it was minted is a rare occurrence, and that's where the value starts to rise. If you find a 1989 Jefferson nickel that's been stored carefully and looks like it just came out of the mint, congratulations. You might have a coin worth significantly more than 5 cents. But there's more to it than just the condition. The next factor that can influence the value of your 1989 nickel is the possibility of a minting error. And when it comes to minting errors, the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process, and they can result in some fascinating and highly collectible coins. One common type of error that collectors go wild for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice, causing the design to appear doubled or blurry. A double die error on a 1989 Jefferson nickel would immediately set your coin apart from the others. If you have one of these, you found a truly rare piece that could dramatically increase in value. Double die errors are highly prized by collectors because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly the same. If you happen to have a 1989 Jefferson nickel with this type of flaw, you could be looking at a significant payout. Another minting error that can add value to a 1989 Jefferson nickel is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, resulting in the design being stamped too far to one side. An off-center nickel can be visually striking and is often considered a desirable find for collectors looking for coins that are different from the standard issue. But wait, there's more. A less common but highly prized error is the clipped planchet. This happens when the blank metal disc, called a planchet, is clipped during the production process, leading to a coin with a jagged or missing edge. Clipped planchet errors are extremely rare and collectors go to great lengths to track them down. So, if you happen to find a 1989 Jefferson nickel with this unique flaw, it could be worth far more than just a few cents. Now, you might be thinking, how much are these rare 1989 Jefferson nickels worth? Well, here's the exciting part. If you have one of these coins in perfect condition or with a rare minting error, your coin could fetch a pretty penny on the market. In fact, some 1989 Jefferson nickels have been known to sell for as much as $55,000. Yes, that's right. A single nickel could be worth $55,000 if it's in top condition or has a rare minting error like a double die or off-center strike. Of course, not every 1989 Jefferson nickel is going to fetch that kind of money, but it's important to remember that rarity and condition are everything in the world of coin collecting. So, if you happen to have one of these nickels in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. And if you're lucky enough to find one with a minting error, well, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. The process of getting your coin appraised is relatively simple. You can take it to a professional numismatist, or even send it to a coin grading service, where they will assess its condition and determine its value. A graded coin will give you an official assessment of its worth, which can help when selling it to collectors or at auction. So, before you toss that 1989 Jefferson nickel into your change jar or spend it without a second thought, take a moment to check it over. you just might have a rare find on your hands that could make you thousands of dollars richer. And remember, when it comes to coin collecting, knowledge is power. The more you know about the coins you have, the better equipped you'll be to spot valuable specimens hiding in plain sight. To wrap things up, if you happen to have a 1989 Jefferson nickel in your collection, don't overlook it. With the right condition or a minting error, this coin could be worth far more than just 5 cents. In fact, depending on its rarity, it could fetch a price of up to $55,000. Keep your eyes peeled, your magnifying glass ready, and who knows, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future coin discoveries. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.